Does death occur when the heart stops beating? Modern-day medicine argues no. By most accounts, the point at which death is declared is when the heart has stopped beating and there is no longer brain activity. Through the development of CPR, a person can have no heartbeat and still live for several minutes while their brain receives oxygen. As of 2013, King County in the Seattle, Washington area had the highest cardiac survival rate in the world at about 62%. In comparison, other big cities like New York had survival rates only in the single digits. Why is there such a discrepancy? The county credits their high rates of CPR training by local residents. Cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR, is the act of artificially pumping blood through the body and the heart. The intent is not to restart the heart, as some people may believe, but to delay tissue death, specifically in the brain, by keeping oxygenated blood circulating through the body. Although CPR efforts are not always successful, quick action by an onlooker can double or even triple a victim's chances of survival, yet only 32% of victims even receive CPR. The American Heart Association states that 70% of Americans feel unprepared for this kind of emergency and they wouldn't know what to do should someone around them suffer a cardiac emergency. In 2008, they began recommending hands-only or compression-only CPR in an effort to increase the number of bystanders who would take action during a cardiac emergency. Hands-only CPR, sometimes referred to as CCR, which stands for cardiocerebral resuscitation, emphasizes chest compressions and eliminates any mouth-to-mouth or rescue breathing contact between a victim and the person rendering aid. Because this newer version requires very little contact, everyone is encouraged to learn it so they are able to give aid in an emergency situation and be able to help save a life. Hands-only CPR has been proven to be just as effective in adult cardiac arrest victims, and it's easier to remember and easier to perform. According to the American Red Cross, 88% of all cardiac arrests happen at home. So learning this skill is extremely important, as the life you are most likely to save is someone in your own family. In 2009, that's exactly what happened to Kathy and Scott Harden in Flagstaff, Arizona. One night while they lay in bed, Kathy went into cardiac arrest and had no heartbeat. For 18 minutes, she lay unresponsive as her husband Scott administered life-saving hands-only CPR while he waited for EMS to arrive. Due to her husband's quick response and his EMT training, he was able to start the chest compressions immediately, which doctors say was crucial for Kathy's complete recovery. Hands-only CPR is easy to learn and easy to perform. It focuses all the attention on the chest compressions using the hands, as the name implies. It's a series of fast compressions, at least 100 per minute, pushing down at least 2 inches in the middle of the victim's chest. In an adult who is breathing normally until the moment of cardiac arrest, the blood already contains enough oxygen to keep them and their organs, specifically their brain, alive and functioning for several more minutes. The difficulty then is that the oxygen can't nourish the cells, the organs, or the brain unless it's being circulated. Circulation is normally done automatically by the heart, and in hands-only CPR, it needs to be done manually by chest compressions. The American Heart Association says sudden cardiac arrest kills more than 400,000 people every year in the United States due to lack of intervention by bystanders. Knowledge and fast action by those bystanders can greatly reduce this number. Research has shown that people are more likely to intervene and provide CPR if they don't have to perform mouth-to-mouth. In a CNN interview with an emergency room physician, Dr. Benjamin Abela said, "The takeaway message is that it's easy for a bystander to radically improve the odds. If you see someone collapse without a pulse, you should at least provide chest compressions. The most important thing is to move the blood." Whose life could you save by taking 60 seconds to watch a video and understand how hands-only CPR is performed? Perhaps some people don't step up because they're afraid of the consequences if they fail. Unbeknownst to many, there's a law that protects any civilian who freely gives aid in an emergency, including CPR during cardiac arrest emergencies. The Good Samaritan law states, "No person who in good faith and not for compensation renders emergency care at the scene of an emergency shall be liable for any civil damages resulting from the act." Basically, this law is saying that if you try to help someone within your reasonable knowledge and or training, that you can't be held responsible if they don't survive. Some states even have laws that require you to step up in an emergency and render aid or face a monetary penalty, like Vermont, which charges you at least $100 if you are capable of rendering aid and you refuse. The best way to learn hands-only CPR is to visit the American Heart Association's CPR webpage at www.heart.org/CPR and follow their hands-only CPR link in the upper right-hand corner. Studies have shown that people who view a CPR instructional video are in fact significantly more likely to perform the life-saving skill in an emergency. When you finish listening to me here, take 60 seconds and visit heart.org/CPR and watch the video. Just by watching, you will be prepared to render aid should a cardiac emergency present itself. And remember that 88% of those emergencies happen at home, which means you are significantly more likely to use CPR on your own family members than you are a complete stranger.